The story begins in July of 2015 as Leicester City appoint managerial journeyman Claudio Ranieri. And after a close shave from relegation the season prior, this was a somewhat out of left field appointment. Ranieri had a serious laundry list of roles in management beforehand, but there were still plenty of questions if he was the proper fit for Leicester City.
For me personally, I've said in one of my videos before, I'm not sure Ranieri's the man to bring the club forward.
I think the likes of Leicester, Aston Villa and Sunderland are not going to have great seasons.
He could have the most ridiculous season ever. They could finish 10th.
But they're going to be struggling. They're going to be on the edge of it the whole season.
And then for me, the surprise, I'm going to go for Leicester to go down as the third team.
Leicester are a club that doesn't come with plenty of accolades or silverware, only having 3 League Cup victories before the monumental season. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I still can't believe it happened. And I also can't believe you have not subscribed to the Football Records. Please and thank you. The season began with impact. An opening day victory against Sunderland would set the tone for the rest of the year. Ranieri came with a reputation of changing things often. The Tinkerman was previously in the dugout at Chelsea, where he endured a mixed spell with the club. At Leicester, Ranieri had 2 talented fullbacks in Schlupp and Delat, but they were far too attacking to keep the necessary clean sheets and frankly to be competitive in the Premier League, at least at the highest level. So instead, Ranieri would use Simpson and Christian Fuchs, players that had limited pace, but a defensive dependability to cover for both Wes Morgan and Robert Huth. The back 4, a bit old school, and in a league with such deadly attacks, this would become the cornerstone of their success. The Premier League in 2015 had every team wanting to control possession and play on the front foot. But with the defense-first mentality of Leicester, no one knew how to combat it. They were soaking up the pressure, breaking with pace, undoubtedly turned into an entertaining side to watch, especially as their star forward, Jamie Vardy, was hitting the form of his career. The one-man counterattack. And on a side note, we might look to do a deeper dive telling the story of Jamie Vardy because it's a unique career path from factory worker through the English football system to Premier League champion and leading goal scorer. And Vardy, he focused on playing on the opposition's shoulder. Kasper Schmeichel once said he could turn a clearance into a good pass. His form would catapult the side to the top of the league by the new year. This included a record-breaking 11-game goal-scoring streak. The tactical astute side could tweak depending on the opposition they were facing. When they had a trip to the Etihad, they opted for a more pressing style that unsettled the Premier League challengers, resulting in a 3-1 result upsetting Manchester City. And they would need these types of results time and time again. The simplicity, but also the effectiveness of the tactical setup deployed by Ranieri can't be understated as a major factor in the prolonged domination Leicester had in a 9-month Premier League season. It was just remarkable. I tuned in every single week. Another key factor that can't be overlooked and made the rest of the league envious was the talent identification at the club. The title-winning side had a compilation of players of all ages from all across the globe. But one thing they did have in common was the price. The most common 11 used was full of players that were signed for the cheap. Some discount shopping, getting good value, quality return of investment. In goal, Kasper Schmeichel, the son of the world-class Manchester United shot stopper, cost Leicester just £1.25 million from Leeds. He would go on to captain the side after Wes Morgan's departure and was a key component of not just the Premier League winning team, but also the FA Cup years later. The back line, just £6 million in total, with the ex-Stoke behemoth Huth costing the most at £3 million, and partnering with him was another titan, Wes Morgan. Just over $1 million was enough to secure his services from Nottingham Forest. And this partnership was a match made between bruisers. It was physical, you had grit, players that would put it all on the line. Further key members, how can we not talk about Riyad Mahrez? The skillful Algerian only cost $400K. Coming from France, he would show off his talents at their peak in the 2015-2016 season, where he would amass 17 goals and 11 assists. He later went on to join Manchester City and continued his fine form, helping the side win a plethora of trophies. And wherever Mahrez was, Jamie Vardy was usually close by. The headstrong forward was signed for just over £1 million and is easily one of the best deals all time Premier League history. I would love a stat line of what a goal is worth in the Premier League because Jamie Vardy was scoring for fun. He had bunches of them. The man was simply elite in a 1v1 scenario. And when tempted with a move to Arsenal after the title triumph, he opted for loyalty. He still represents the club to this day and has recently helped Leicester's promotion from the Championship, scoring 18 goals at 37 years old. Jamie Vardy is a legend in his own right. However, not many players have had the rapid rise to superstar like N'Golo Kante, a timid and shy person who, when signing for the club, was mistaken for a lost child.
We have a lot of kids on site, it's the academy, so it's our job really to make sure that they're safe and feel safe. There's this young kid wandering around looking a bit worried, so I go to the office to find out who it is, and lo and behold, it was Kante.
Playing previously in France, similar to Mahrez, no one had truly given him the opportunity to show his potential, at least not just yet. He wasn't even Leicester's first choice. They were dialed in signing Jordan Vega too as their #1 target, but instead he opted for a move to Aston Villa, which clearly worked out for the best. The signing of Kante would give the team an almost unfair advantage in the midfield. His work rate was unprecedented. At least it felt that way. He could marshal the midfield on his own, a truly unique footballer and maybe even a more unique individual. His humble and genuine nature amongst superstars is almost unheard of, unparalleled. He went on to join Chelsea after the title win, helping bolster their midfield and bring another Premier League title to London. So in total, as a recap, the squad cost just £22 million to assemble, which is an insane figure when you think of the financial muscle that exists in the Premier League. After a solid start to the season, the Leicester squad went from strength to strength and assembled a run that lasted from start to finish. Many expected the wheels to eventually fall off, but they never did. Transparently, I was one of those people. I was dialed. Every weekend, I sent out an RSVP. We had viewing parties to see if Leicester could do the unthinkable. And what followed did not disappoint. It was arguably the greatest footballing achievement of all time. And I'm not exaggerating. In our lifetime, I'm not sure we're going to see a season or an underdog story that can rival or top what Leicester City was able to accomplish. And don't get me wrong, they had some moments of luck during the season, but the final point tally was 10 points clear of second place, making the achievement unequivocally on their own merit. There was a certain untidiness about their performances throughout the bulk of the season. But when they reached the run-in, they started to act like challengers, grinding out 1-0 wins and becoming more professional with the game management. Leicester City would go on to seal the title as Chelsea would beat Tottenham, knocking them out of the race. No team since has even come close to what Leicester achieved in the 2015-2016 season. It wasn't just an underdog story for the ages, but an event that also shifted the Premier League forever. The tactical, naive setups that teams had, and to a degree, maybe even complacency of individualism versus team effort. Getting caught on the counter was something that many coaches or managers didn't realize the extent of its effectiveness. But after this prolific Leicester City season, we began to see halfbacks being deployed more frequently. More often, teams were planning for moments without the ball just as much as they did when they had possession. The dynamic was shifting, the versatility and the value of being able to pivot or adjust on the fly. Transparently, it feels impossible for a run like Leicester's to occur in the modern game. In a little under a decade, the level of not only tactical preparation, but just the outright quality and the spending would make it troublesome to compete. Not to mention the spending power, even though they've underperformed with Manchester United or Chelsea. Even Tottenham bringing in plenty of additional funding with their new stadium, which we made a video discussing on this channel. Highly recommended. That is indeed a plug. The reality, champions are regularly winning the league with north of 90 points. It has taken a lot of preparation and investment for clubs like Aston Villa this season to break into the top 4. And if anything, the gap between the top and the bottom half of the Premier League will continue to grow. Leicester City not only won the Premier League, but went on to win the FA Cup before unfortunately being relegated last season. but it didn't take long for their return to top flight, winning the championship this year. They have financial charges to their name for the next season, but will still be looking optimistic. As Leicester fans know more than most, anything is possible in football.